Hello, everyone. This is episode 10 of the Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast with your hosts, John Ferretti and my wife, Adena Ferretti. We know it's been a little while since we joined you to give updates on the struggle for affordability at Rochdale Village, one of the single largest affordable housing communities in New York State. I believe it's the second largest in New York State behind Co-op City. And we're just want to get back into the swing of things and try to provide updates on a lot that's happened in the last few months. Adina wanted to give her thoughts, which is what we generally do. We let the women speak first here, trying to break old patterns. But while she's doing that, I'm going to be sharing out the video. You may have noticed we're only broadcasting live on YouTube, and that's where we're going to be broadcasting from now on. Facebook is engaging in a whole bunch of antisocial behavior, like deleting our videos after 30 days and making it overall very hard to maintain a platform there. So we're going to be broadcasting entirely on YouTube going forward, trying to build the largest audience there. While Adina's speaking, I'm going to be sharing out the live stream on social media groups to try to build the largest audience. And Adina, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us at the Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast. Thank you so much. And I will be sharing my thoughts about what's going on. So, we have not heard from HCR as yet. So, therefore, we have no updates to give you regarding the rent increase, whether it's 22, whether it's 10%, whether it's 57%. We have no updates on that because HCR have not, we have heard nothing through the board of directors or on the Rochdale streets or nothing. So we have no updates regarding that. We're just basically in a holding pattern when it comes to the rent increase and what the amount will be. I'm sure there's going to be a rent increase. We just don't know what it is at this point. So that's with that said. On a positive notes on the new developments, I want to talk about the laundry area. What I've experienced is that in Building 5, which where we live, John and I live, the laundromat is completed and it's up and it's running. And with my experience, I love it. And so does John, even though he never been there. But
No knowledge of that situation at all.
yeah, so I'm the one that go there. So therefore, yes, it's up and it's running, and I have all positive feedback regarding it. Right now, they have two ways of basically loading the card. They're saying that you can go over to the management office next door to the maintenance office, and you can pick up a free card for all the people that live, all the shareholders that live here. You will be getting one card, and it's going to be loaded with $5 on it. After which you can purchase multiple cards if that's what you want, or you can download the Hercules app. It's an app on the phone. So whatever you're comfortable with. So I do both. I put money on the card just in case, and I also put money on the app, which the app tells you a lot of analytics, such as if you open the app, it'll tell you how many machines are available. If it's all green, that means nobody's downstairs. If two or three machines are using, those machines will show up as red. But what happened is sometimes people will have their clothes in the washing machine, but it's finished, but it once it's done, it's going to tell you that it's available. But if someone have it, their clothes in the washing machine, it's also going to show up as available. So you may go down there and five people have their, stuff in there, but that's how it works. And it will also tell you that you have this time, like 10 minutes on the washer, 10 minutes on the dryer. It tells you the time. It also tells you the analytics of how many people are there. So say, like, for instance, an example, on Monday evening, it will tell you, it will give you a graph showing you that this is the amount of people that use the washer, the laundry area on Monday. And then on Saturday morning, it gives you another graph showing you how many people use it. So it goes up and down according to the time that it gives you the analytics. So you can, make decisions maybe based on that, according to when you or your family would want to use the washing machine. But the best thing is that you look on it and you see what's available at that time that you want to use it, and then you can just run down, put in your clothes, and keep it moving. But and then with the app, you can transfer money from your bank account over to the app. So you don't always have to have cash on you. So you have an option now of cash, or you have an option of your debit card, which is really good. Because I'm always running to the bank trying to get cash. I'll be like, oh my God, it's Tuesday morning, or it's Wednesday morning, or it's Wednesday night, and I don't have cash. I don't have to worry about that no more. That headache is gone because I can just transfer real easy nowadays. Okay. So the next thing on my agenda is to talk about the $30 million. It's a grant that was given to Rochdale, which they did apply for. But we're still in the hold of 52 million. So we got 30 million, but we owe 52 million. John, you
No,
look at
there's $5 million. Those for operating expenses that we've allegedly already received. That's supposed to pay vendors. Okay, then there's another 25 million that's supposed to be for capital expenses. Yet Rochdale Village openly says that they have $52 million in urgently necessary, immediate capital repair work that needs to be done. So that means they're $27 million short. So
Definitely.
the rescue wasn't really a rescue if we're $27 million still in the hole. And there seems to be no plan for how to fill that hole or ever get us out of debt with Wells Fargo or any of the other creditors that we're in debt to.
Yes, but we know that it was a grant and it wasn't a loan, so that's a positive thing to basically have known to figure it out. So we're still in the hole for some kind of money, and we just don't know when that would basically be going on, will be given. How we're going to get that other money over there. John will be talking about why he was missing action for a couple of weeks. He had to go back to work, so now he's back to work, and we're going to be missing for a while also because we will be going on vacation.
Okay.
So we're going to be
She
missing.
didn't tell you that her husband's taking her to Hawaii. So anyway, yeah, I was assaulted as a transit worker. I work as a train conductor. I was assaulted on the job back in late July of 2023. So I was dealing with PTSD and other physical injuries from the assault. And so that's why I had so much free time on my hands to be fighting these battles. And it was part of my recovery process to actually try to get to the bottom of what was going on here and become much more active in advocating for the
Oh,
community.
that's not what happened. Let me tell you what happened.
What happened?
I when John moved here, right, the rent had increased to 2.5%. And I was crying and crying and crying and saying, John, oh my God, look what happened. The rent increased to 2.5%, right? And he was like, that's nothing. And I'm like, yes, it is. And I'm crying all over the house back and forth. And he's just like, oh, stop it. That's nothing. But then I had to come back to him again and says, hey, something big happened. Something, hold on. He's like, hold on, wait a minute, what happened now?
So
And I was like, word on the block is that they're going to increase it to like 30%. He was like, no, that can't happen. And then John got upset, and then he got involved, and here he is.
And here I am.
A year later.
So in any case, when I had to go back to work, I had to go back to training, and I had to travel around to various work locations, be retrained on the various train equipment and stuff. So that made it kind of hard to be able to maintain the every 2-week, podcast schedule. We're going to be trying to get back to that when we get back. As Adena said, we're going on vacation for starting next Saturday. We'll be in Hawaii for 2 weeks. And Adena wanted to do her bucket list vacation. So this was her one big vacation this year as opposed to multiple vacations. We're trying to take vacations while we can still afford them, given the financial crisis that we're being plunged into. So in any case, just to follow up on the crisis that we face, like management and some portion of the board of directors stage an event with Vivian Cook and with Gregory Meeks, our congressperson. And this event was scheduled for, 10:30 in the morning on a Monday.
Yeah.
And very few people would be able to attend. Most of us work in order
Mhm.
to pay their carrying charges and maintain our residence here at Rochdale Village. So the majority of the people who showed up were senior citizens or people who were retired. There was over 100 people there. They kept these people waiting for over 20 minutes after the start time was supposed to start. And they basically had a stage managed public relations propaganda event to basically show off and pat themselves on the back about the $30 million that they received from the state. Of course, they provided no details at all to the residents present about when we would receive this aid, what kind of aid was it? Was it a loan? Was it a grant? What was the process to apply for this loan? When might we receive the money? Will we receive the money in time to prevent DHCR from implementing carrying charge increases without waiting for that money to be received? So none of these questions were answered. And it's a continuation of the same disrespect for our community that was evidenced by Vivian Cook's flyer when she said that she alone won the money, that residents traveling 6+ hours to Albany didn't matter at all, and that it was all her doing. And what they don't tell you is that New York State has passed a budget that included in that budget is $1 billion for affordable housing in New York State. That's $1 billion in aid to either renovate or build new affordable housing developments. And in upstate New York communities like Rochester, Troy, New York, Binghamton, and we're talking about small communities, most of them, a handful of those communities got $238 million in funding from the state budget. Yet Rochdale Village, the second largest affordable housing community in New York State, gets $30 million. And they want a ticker tape parade for getting the crumbs from the table in the state budget process. And that's, I mean, basically they think we're stupid. They think that, they can hold a press conference, take a photo op, and pat themselves on the back, and the crisis is averted. And they know damn well the crisis is not averted. Because in 27 and 28, 2027, 2028, they're going to be coming back with even more carrying charge increases. And it's going to continue to be double-digit increases because we're not solving the problem. So we're not waiting on these elected leaders who've abandoned us for decades to do something about this. We have to engage in our own political advocacy. And that was part of what we were trying to do with having residents email, text, call, and otherwise harass our elected officials to do something to stop the affordability crisis here at Rochdale Village and at many other affordable housing communities in New York City and New York State. So we are reaching out to Antonio Delgado, who is the Lieutenant Governor of New York. He is also running against Kathy Hochul in the next governor election in 2026. And we're trying to build a dialogue with him where he comes out and talks to residents and deals with the scale of the crisis. If someone wants to be the governor of New York State, I think they should know about the conditions that affordable housing communities, largely communities of color, are facing at the hands of Wells Fargo, are facing at the hands of Summit Management Company, and facing at the hands of New York State DHCR, which pretty much, from my experience, serves as nothing but a gatekeeping mechanism, where they play the Hunger Games every budget cycle, where they let working class and poor communities fight each other to the death for the crumbs, while the majority of the money goes to the JP Morgans of the world and the Wells Fargos. If you look at all of these projects that DHCR announces, somewhere in there, some bank or some real estate parasite is making a fortune off of this. Some construction company executive is making a fortune off of this, but the money never gets delivered to the people who really need it. So we're also going to be reaching out to the state controller. His name is Thomas DiNapoli. We've already reached out to him. I know many residents have sent him emails, but we're not accepting no for an answer anymore from him, because I don't know if you know what the state controller does. The state controller manages the state, all the state finances. They can audit all the finances of any state agency. They also control where New York State employees' pension funds money get invested. So traditionally, the controller will invest money in mutual funds or in Wall Street or in hedge funds or in buying bonds or those kind of things, but they don't have to. They can put that money anywhere. And part of what's beginning to change in the political atmosphere is, if you see in the New York City controllers race, there's an open discussion. The Democratic Party candidate is actually openly talking about investing New York City pension funds in building affordable housing for working class communities. So that's very much on the table right now. And we need to start making that demand on Thomas DiNapoli, who is also up for re-election next year, to, I think it may be this year, to actually take action to save communities like ours, who they say they care about so much. We need to see some action from a lot of these people. So we're going to be providing Thomas DiNapoli's information so that people can follow up with him. But I'm also going to be following up with him through the Working Families Party. I don't know if you guys have seen, but we have been going to Working Families Party events, and they represent the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and having contacts within that party gives us access to politicians in a way that we haven't in the past. And part of this experience of going up to lobby day with over 100 Rochdale Village residents, part of the experience of reaching out to these politicians and making demands on them is beginning to build those political contacts to be able to exert pressure on these politicians, because without the pressure, unfortunately, no matter how much they say they're committed to affordable housing, when it comes to the New York State budget process, we get nothing but crumbs from them. So we have to find some way around that process until we can replace Hochul and Company and actually have an accountable state government. Adena, I'm going to let you give your comments on this.
You took all my points away.
I'm sorry.
But I'm really glad about what you're saying about that the money not being invested into the Wall Street, but it is being invested into our pension fund.
No, the pension funds are proposed to be invested in affordable housing in New York City, and we
Yeah,
want them to
definitely.
do the same for New York State. That was the
Definitely. But I think that is a wonderful idea because we're just tired of, and I think maybe it's a solution. I'm not sure. It is something that we're gonna have to experience because maybe it is something new, and it's an election year, so everyone wants to come up with something new to talk about. It's
yeah.
not the same old, same old. People want to say, "Hey, that didn't work in the past." Now, what can there's many things that we don't know about, and someone needs to come up with some creative ideas up to how to make things work better. And we're not talking about loans. We're not talking about loans anymore because we're tired of having these loans. There must be a better way. There must be some grants. There must be somebody must owe some kind of favor in the background and stuff,
Mm.
but we need some kind of help that is going to push this forward. And I think everyone is looking towards Rochdale to see what is going to happen at Rochdale, because I think what's going to happen here is going to be like a domino effect that's going to go on for like the other Mitchell Island and also to the surrounding areas. I hear people are complaining that their property taxes are even going up already, $2,000 to $3,000 a year now because of the financial hardship that's happening. So I think a lot of people are looking at Rochdale because if they're saying Rochdale is affordable and it went up so much, what do you think the surrounding neighborhoods are going to do?
Yeah.
What do you think the landlords out there are going to say? They're going to be like, oh, them over here, they're affordable and they could pay 500, so you must can be paying 800, and
Mm.
in reality, that's not what can happen. People are already struggling
Yeah.
with just buying food and taking care of their family, elderlies and children and themselves, so
Mm.
it's a serious condition.
Yeah. And also they want a war of all against all and a race to the bottom. And they want to say that this is normal, and it's not normal. It's not normal because people fought for this community to exist. It didn't just come from nowhere. It's a gain of the civil rights movement.
And also, it's not affordable. And as you said, affordable means affordable for different people. Some people
Yeah.
be like, yeah, $200 is not a lot, but for some, it's the breaking point.
Yeah.
It's a breaking point. They can't afford it. They can't scratch it out of nowhere. They're already working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
The savings are already wiped out.
Mhm.
So you may say, oh, it's a little $200. It could be more. No, it couldn't be more, because now I have to now I have to do something about it,
Yeah.
and like I'm not ashamed to say it, but the other day I was walking in Rochdale, and this woman was walking past with her child, and she stopped me and she said, is the pantry open? Like she's telling me that there's a pantry near here. Is it open? I didn't even know there was a pantry near here, and but I'm gonna find out. I'm about to find out about it because I don't know what this is going to be. You know what I'm saying? And
You
I'm
know how
like, there's a
bad things are
pantry
going
here,
to get? Yeah.
huh?
You don't know how bad things are going to get, is what you're saying?
Don't know how bad things are gonna get. I may need that pantry. You know what I'm saying? I don't eat a lot. I really, really don't.
Mhm.
I don't. I don't eat a lot. John could tell you, like I eat bacon and bread, and I go to bed. But I don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah. So, the other thing too about affordability is that it's all relative, right? It all depends on what the other circumstances are. It's none of these things exist in a vacuum at the same time that they're talking about raising our carrying charges anywhere from like $300 to $600 a month. There are also increases in the Metro cards. Metro cards just went up. They're going to keep going up. The cost of food. I mean, Adina goes to the store, and we
Oh,
have we
forget
have
it.
two options here, and both of them are price gougers, and both of
Mhm.
them have exploited the situation since COVID and
Yeah.
massively jacked up the price of everything. And then you have Trump's tariffs and how much that's going to affect the price of everything.
And you
So,
can't even shop in the city. Forget Trader Joe's, even though they're saying that's cheap. And then
mhm,
it's not even that, but the quality of food is just so different. The quality of food, I don't mean to go into this, but I was listening to this lady the other day talking, and she's like, how they'd be like, oh, we have organic food. We can't have organic food because you know what happened? The beans and the grains and the things that they're planting in the ground is not organic. Those are man-made products that they're planting in the ground, and
mhm,
then they're springing these. John was telling me, and I had to watch the documentary that happened in India. You
mhm.
know, so the food that we're eating is not even good.
And also, the other issue is food deserts, right? Where you have whole communities where there are no healthy options for you. It's
No,
only
it's not.
fast food. It's only
No.
a grocery store or
Yeah. And the meat is not good. You bring home, you go. I've been to Key Food so many times, and I brought the meat only to come home and have to just throw it away because it looks fresh. But when you come home and you wash it and you put vinegar, you wash it with lime or whatever you wash it with, the meat just look horrible, like horrible.
yeah.
So the food that we're getting is, and it's overpriced. Number one, it's overpriced and it's not good. And even if you be like, don't eat meat, you can eat vegetables.
Um,
That is
Baby,
a
somebody asked
problem.
what the name of the documentary was about India.
I would have to look it up. I would
Yes,
have to look it up. But
Mr. Williams, she'll look it up and put it as a comment on
But
you.
John, you remember that, right? You remember
Yeah.
that thing where they took away. They said they didn't want the farmers because India is a very huge population, and they did not want the farmers to plant their seeds as they normally did. So I think what happened, I don't remember if they pesticide the whole thing and forced the farmers into buying the grains from them, into buying it from them. So
Yeah,
what now? They
it's
had to buy
Monsanto
this.
and a lot of these corporations. They give them Terminator seeds basically, so that they don't when they produce a crop, it doesn't produce the seed so that you could replant it. So you have to
Yeah,
keep coming back to Monsanto in order to get that seed. So that's
yeah.
part of it. And there's also another part of it is that they've made a lot of countries that are dependent on agriculture buy agriculture from these imperialist countries like the United States and others. Um, and they've pretty much engaged in like structural adjustment to make it so that they can't compete with these imperialist, multi, what do they call them? multinational corporations. So in any case, that's part of the problem. But I mean, here in the United States, that has its own effects in terms of what community you live in, and what kind of choices are you being given. What kind
Definitely,
of
yeah.
education are you being given about what good nutrition is and all of that kind of stuff? What kind of choice do you have?
Definitely. Mhm.
And also, if you want to choose to eat healthy stuff, you wind up being price gouged into the point where you can't afford it anyway. But also,
No.
I mean, the reason why this comes up in a Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast is because we are a community that was supposed to try to counteract all of that. You know what I mean? We're supposed to have community run or city run grocery stores that actually put a price cap on the amount that products cost. We're supposed to have a state government that actually intervenes to make it truly affordable by subsidizing the upkeep of 60-year-old buildings. You can't say you have a commitment to affordable housing, but you don't want to do anything to keep it truly affordable. It doesn't work. It's fantasy, and it's a lie. And we're coming up to the harsh reality that this has been a lie for nearly 6 decades now. This money that we're getting, the $30 million from the state assembly, is the first time that I am aware of in 60 plus years since Rochdale was founded that this community has received any state aid other than like one-time aid to like build the community center, which after all, the community center is important. It provides programs for the elderly, for youth, and we want to have that. But if you can't afford to live in a community, what good does a community center do for you? They
Definitely.
want something they can put their name on. They want something they can do a photo op at. They want something they can pat themselves on the back for. But what have they done to keep it truly affordable? Vivian Cook's been in power since 1991. What exactly has she done to actually keep this community affordable, to fight for this community? What bills
Definitely.
has she passed that
Mhm.
specifically impact Rochdale or any other affordable housing community in New York State? You know,
And then
so
again, if Rochdale is they're looking at Rochdale right now. Rochdale is all over the internet. Rochdale is all over the news. I think, you know, the
well,
residents are talking.
we are responsible for 4 news articles specifically about Rochdale. So
Yeah.
if we could get 4 news articles published, I'm sure there are many others, and there's a lot of talk on social media about it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen a lot of residents talking about it. Even yesterday, my coworker sent me a few residents on Instagram that were talking about Rochdale. So Rochdale name is being out there, and we got to put the pressure more. And I feel that if the residents have not been putting the pressure on this situation, they would have passed this 57% a long time ago.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I think it would have
But I
been
think
7%, but they would have pushed something through a long time ago. And remember, the board of directors has already voted. Even the supposed fighters on the board of directors who were, railing against the management company and, mismanagement or bad decisions, they voted for 22.3% in 2025 and 4.5% in 2026. That's 26.7% increase in 2 years. Is that affordable? I mean, I didn't get any 26% increase in my pay. Did you, Adena? I must have missed that.
no,
Yeah, we
no,
must have missed that in our paychecks, right?
no, no,
But
no,
so
not at all.
these are the reasonable decisions that would have been made had it not been for the advocacy of residents in their own name, making
Yeah,
it so that no politician in New York City or New York State can find any safe quarter where they won't be asked about this. And
yeah,
that's
oh,
important.
definitely.
It's important that we begin to condition behaviors that we want from these politicians. They need to be disciplined just like anybody else. They work for us. It's our tax dollars that pay their salary. They're not getting this money because we like them or because they look good. They're getting this money to deliver for this community, and they're going to be held accountable. And there has to be consequences for them when they don't deliver. So this is what this is all about. It's not about anybody's, aspirations for political office. It's not about anything like that. It's about we are engaged in self-defense, and we are going to demand that people who work for us do for us. And if they don't start doing for us, there'll be those people who used to hold that position, because there has to be consequences for that. And, speaking of people who shouldn't be holding positions, I don't know if you guys remember, but a while back, I think it was in June or May, there was a vote by the board of directors to take a request for proposals for a new management company. And the deadline for receiving those requests for proposals was July 15th, 2025. It's now August, today is August 17th. So we're now a full month past the deadline for requests for proposals. And I've heard nothing in the newspaper. Maybe if somebody has, please let me know. But I've heard nothing about an update about what is going on with that process. And it's a very important process, given the fact that this management company made unilateral decisions and kept the board of directors in the dark about a $17.7 million water bill they decided not to pay. And, the fact that our power plant was put up on a tax lien by New York City over that water bill. And this is all while they're engaging in negotiating payment plans that are going to last 10 years that are going to cost Rochdale Village anywhere from 6 to 16% per year interest on that debt. So this runaway train has to stop. And I thought we had a commitment from the leadership of this board, the majority, the Julia Jamaica and Gene Hall, that they were going to do their due diligence to find a new management company. And I just see no evidence of it. I'm getting very concerned, especially since there's a board of directors election coming up in early October. And I'm telling you that they better find some urgency to find a new management company, or don't come to us asking us to vote for you. Don't come to us asking us for our help to get you elected to the board of directors. I don't want to hear it if they can't get rid of this management company. And this has been going on for decades. And the people who ran for office saying they were going to get rid of the management company better start providing some actual proof that they stand 10 toes down to do that. Or they're not going to be standing 10 toes down. They're going to be out of here. What else did we have to cover? Oh, the House Congress. I wanted to make sure that we covered this. Let me just try to get the flyer so that people can see what we're talking about. Oh, damn it. All right, I just got to look up on Facebook to get it. Sorry about that, guys. Just take a moment. Okay. All right, so just so people know, the House Congress is a tenant association that has been in existence here for many, many years. Actually, I'm going to share the screen so now I can.
Okay.
And basically, what the House Congress is supposed to be is a tenant association that represents all tenants. Can you see that?
Wow. Yeah, it's nice. I see it. That's good.
Okay. So Sean Chandler, people call him the mayor of Rochdale Village. He's been here for many years, and he is, along with myself and others, are part of trying to reboot the House Congress Tenant Association. And there is a meeting scheduled for this Wednesday, August 20th. It's in the community center rooms 11, 12, and 13. The agenda is to decide on a date for a House Congress election, to talk about why do we need a House Congress, a brief review of the House Congress bylaws. And so basically what it is a democratic representative body, which we don't really have much of here at Rochdale Village. Sorry. Just trying to get my screen to go back to where it was. There it is. Okay, there we go. Although we have a board of directors, we have to be honest with ourselves that there's only 5,860 residents out of 25,000 that can actually vote for the board of directors. Even if they were the best representatives in the world and they were just saints and they were dedicated representatives, they are 15 representatives to represent 25,000 residents. And of those 25,000 residents, more than 3/4 of them can't even vote for this position. So that it's not as truly representative as the kind of representation that we need. And so what Sean is saying, what others are saying, is that we need to build a democratic institution where people can see people from their buildings advocating for their specific needs and also advocating for the true democratic will of the people who live here. And that's why it's a step forward. Is anything a silver bullet? Is anything going to solve all our problems? Of course not. But we have to take advantage of the fact that we've gone into motion, we've engaged in political action. People traveled all the way up to Albany to lobby their elected officials. All of these experiences need a tangible organization that actually represents what we've all learned through these struggles. And that's why it's important to support this site. It's important to support any attempt to allow the residents who live here to gain control of this runaway train. That this problem didn't start in 2025. This has been going on since at least 1986 with the first Wells Fargo loan. There's been 5 separate loans since then, and this community has drifted further and further into debt. And now there's just no money to meet the everyday needs of rebuilding this community, of maintaining this community, of just the general functioning of this community, because every spare dollar is being taken by financial parasites, and because New York State is refusing to do its job, is refusing to actually support affordable housing. So the House Congress, although it's a small step, can be an important step to begin to amplify the residents' true voices and their real experiences, and for them to begin to see people like them, residents just like them, advocating for our community. And that's an important step forward. And I think that's why I think we should support any attempt to try to build those kind of organizations. So I encourage people to come out. I'm going to share my screen again so people can see the date. Let's go back to real deal. There we go. Share. Okay. So here it is, Rochdale Village House Congress Tenant Association meeting. It's August 20th, Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Community Center, room 11, 12, and 13. I encourage everyone who can make it to join us after work or whatever else you're doing that day, and begin to build community. It's important that we take every opportunity that we can to. Sorry. Did the screen share went off, right?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
It's
So
on.
yeah, I think that it's important that we begin to take every chance we can to build community with each other. Part of what the people who are conspiring against our community to make it no longer affordable or to privatize it or to gentrify it, that they know that we can unite, that they know that we can build community, that they know that we are not giving up on the fight for the demands that this community was built on: true affordability, true inclusion of everyone to participate in that kind of affordable housing community. Rochdale was a project to prove if it was possible to build affordable communities within New York City. And that was at a time when affordability was nothing like what it is now. We need those communities more than ever. And as Adena says, people are watching. Everyone is watching what happens here, because if they're able to get their foot in the door at Rochdale, they're going to push the door wide open at Co-op City and every other affordable housing, every other kind of affordable housing community, not just in New York City, all over the state. And it's a very dangerous time right now when people who live at Rochdale, many of them are state employees, many of them are city employees, people work in hospitals providing essential services. When people like that are forced out of the city they grew up in, the city they help run, the city they help provide essential services in, that's when everyone begins to lose hope. And given the fascist white supremacist piece of garbage that is in the White House, we can't depend on the federal government. We have to make our case, and we have to put our foot in the back of the state government, who claim to be fighting fascism, who claim to believe in democracy, claim to believe in civil rights, to actually deliver for us. And we need to stop accepting excuses and a bunch of fucking fairy tales that are never going to come true and that are bad for us. So when people say we should give them a ticket tape parade for getting us $30 million, I'm sorry. That's not cute, and it's not clever, and you're not fooling anybody with this bullshit.
Well, I think so also that What are my thoughts? That also that they're saying most people, they want to freeze the rent with your salary being $50,000 per year, or you get government help. But I think they really need to up that. And I think that was a bill that was supposed to be passed and it wasn't.
Yeah, there was
Because
a bill to raise it to
$50,000,
there was a bill to raise it to 75,000, and
75,000.
I don't think that passed.
Because
Small
this,
increase.
but you want to pass everything else except for the things that basically would help the residents,
Yeah,
because most
Adina's
people,
speaking specifically about
they don't
spraying.
make 50, they may make 51 or 52,000,
Yeah,
without OT overtime and stuff like that. But so it's not even a realistic goal. These are things that was set years and years and centuries ago. When that expectation was 50,000. If I was making 50,000 maybe 20 years ago, that would have been okay. But in today's market, a lot of the medium is probably 50,000 or 51, 52,000. So
actually,
it's
it's over 60,000 is the median income.
yeah. So
Yeah,
again, there you go. Why are they setting it so below the bar? It should
they're
be at least
deliberately doing it.
75,000.
Yeah. Well,
75,000.
but the other thing too, when I raised the question about the New York State controller and what the controller can do, um, you know, he can begin to put a sum on the scale about where they're going to spend, where New York State's going to spend its money, and if they could do that, they could take the weight of the Wells Fargo loan off us and publicly refinance that, so at a much lower rate, so that we could get out of the debt that we're in. And he could also investigate Wells Fargo, investigate how we got into this mess in the first place, and they have an obligation to do so. It's in the mission statement of the role that they're supposed to play, and they're not playing it. And we have to find ways to get around the state budget process, which is right now a cesspool of corruption. And there's basically three people in the room deciding everything: the state assembly speaker, the state Senate majority leader, and the governor. And in 2026, we got to remove Kathy Hochul. We got to get rid of this corruption. And we have to do everything that's possible to begin to uproot it. But until we can, there are people that we can reach out to who have the power to help us, and we have to demand that they help us. So I'm gonna look up the state assembly, state controllers information so that people can contact them. But Dina, if you can feel free to speak on it.
Okay, sure, definitely. So, there are ways that people can come in and help Rochdale and help the surrounding areas and help the people, because it's going to get worse. It's not, make no mistakes, that it is going to get worse. And what, as John was saying, that everybody was applauding that, oh, they gave 30 million. Fine, they gave 30 million, but they gave other people a lot more money. And also, it's not even going to bail us. So, okay, so you gave the 30 million. What happened to the rest? What happened to the 20 plus million that needs to fix this problem? Because that, if you're giving 30 million, that's just a band-aid on the issue. What happened to the rest of the money? How do we get out of it? And I'm not saying for you to just give us the cookie jar and basically, hand us this money. But how, we didn't even get ourselves into this. I don't think the residents of Rochdale got themselves into this.
We didn't do
So,
anything to make this happen. We were kept
yeah,
in the dark for a long time about this whole process.
definitely.
You know,
Because basically, we thought we were safe. All this time, we thought we were safe. Remember, John, I was saying about 2.5, and we thought we were safe. And, word on the street of Rochdale was like, oh, they're going to raise it to the 30 million. I said, no, they can't do that. So then I kept on asking everybody, did you hear that? Next thing you know, it's in the board meeting that is true, is in fact.
yeah.
So then, I was like, that's when, as I told you, John got involved, and, he's saying, well, we have to do something about this. And we started to reach out to the media, and other people started to reach out to the media, and everybody started to get involved. But as we said, we haven't heard anything from HCR. They're basically in the witness protection program, but they'll be coming out. I don't know
Well,
what's going on behind.
I think what they're doing is they're waiting for the money to be issued. Like, so they're waiting until we actually get the money to make the decision. Because
30 million?
yeah, because no, the 25 million. Apparently they've already gotten the other 5 million for the vendor arrears that they're going to pay. But the 25 million has not been delivered yet, and it won't be, according to Jean Castro, who's quoted in the Queen's Chronicle in an article that I'm quoted in as well on July 24th. She says it would take about 3 months. So July 24th, August 24th, September 24th, October 24th. That's what 3 months would be.
And that's fine. And that's fine, John. But what would this 30 million do for the rent increase?
Well, they're saying that it's going to lower it. Okay, that they can go to DHCR and say that, well, if you take these some of the capital work off our budget, and and that combined with the shelter rent decrease, the shelter rent went from 10% to 5%, so that's going to be some money that Rochdale's not going to pay out in taxes. They're saying they can make a better case for a lower carrying charge increase. But in any case, it does not solve the overall debt crisis that we're in, and it does not even pay off the capital needs that we urgently need to solve. We need to solve the facade issues because there's a law in New York City that will fine Rochdale, and there are legal complications for them not doing this work. Aside from which, there's also safety concerns for them not doing this work. And, you can look around Rochdale. You got like 14 of 20 buildings with scaffolding around them. And the scaffolding's been around for over a year. That's a violation in New York City, New York State law. You're not supposed to have scaffolding up more than 3 months before you're going to do work, because it's not. It's there to stop debris from falling on people. But if there's no work being done, there's no debris to worry about. There's no new debris being created. So in any case, they haven't spent. They haven't even told us what the facade work. Like, the facade work was supposed to be done with the Wells Fargo loan in 2019. Yet very little of that work was actually done, and yet now there's this urgent need for $52 million in repair work because none of this work has been done. So this is why you need the state controller involved to audit and find out what's going on here. Where is this money gone? Why is this community constantly being thrown into debt? And why is the work never getting done? So, and also to investigate the role of financial predators and parasites like Wells Fargo, and also the management of our management company over many years, not just under the incarnation of Summit Management Company, but going back when it was Marion Scott Real Estate. We need to investigate all of that, because unless we found out how we got here, we're not going to be able to move forward, and we're not going to be able to say the crisis is over. You can't just click your heels together and play Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. It doesn't work that way. And so when Vivian Cook comes here and tells you the crisis is over, she's a liar. She's trying to con us, and she's trying to get us to go back to sleep, and we can't be doing that. So I'm going to share my screen and show you the contact information for Thomas DiNapoli. Okay, it's Thomas DiNapoli. You can see it, babe?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. The Office of New York State
phone number?
Yeah, the Office of New York State Controller, Thomas P. DiNapoli. The Albany office, telephone number 518-474-4044. And you can
take a screenshot.
Yeah, we're going to post a screenshot. Can you see it any better now?
Yeah, I see it a lot better. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm saying, whoever wants to can take a screenshot.
Yeah, you can take a screenshot, and we'll also post a screenshot in the comments on YouTube. The email address, contact us at osc.ny.gov. They also have a New York City office. We should be calling all of these offices. New York City office, 59 Maiden Lane, and their telephone number is 212-383-1600. So, like I said, I'll post a screenshot in the comments on YouTube, and we need to be following up on this. Make sure that we can even coordinate so that people call at certain hours of the day, so that they are constantly being inundated with the voices of residents here about the need for the controller to do whatever is necessary to refinance this debt and investigate how we got here in the first place. Because we can have peace, but not without justice. Okay, we can move on to the future, but only if we deal with how we got here. And that's very much about many decades of mismanagement and many decades of thinking it's okay and normal for a state-run affordable housing community to receive no aid from New York State. And it's just not, and it can't be, and it has to stop. And if we
Well,
don't,
if you don't do anything about it now, what will happen is in the near future, it will just get worse.
Yeah.
If you don't do anything, like, cut it off right now or talk about it, it would only get worse in the future. Because what they're doing, because as I remember Gene Hall saying this, that it's not just the percentage of the increases going up just because of rising costs of the bills, but it's the debt that was the big issue. It's the
yeah,
debt that they owe. It's the water bill, the what you call it now, the insurance and the
sure.
vendors and stuff. Those have big debts, and that's what's the problem is. I think if we didn't have that much debt, and it basically was just a rising cost of inflation, this wouldn't be happening. But HCR, oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Herschel.
Yeah, but I think it's the debt that they have here. It's like having a credit card bill, and you have this credit card bill for 37,000, and every year you're paying it off, and then now you want some more bill, and they're gonna be like, well, I could give it $1,000, but how are you gonna pay up to 34,000 that you didn't pay before? And they said, okay, pay that 37,000 off, and then we're gonna give you this 1,000. So HCR is looking at the debt, and that's the debt. They want to find out how you're gonna pay this massive debt that you have off. They said, oh, just build the shareholder. They can handle it. And we're like,
Yeah, but
not over here.
so the thing is, DHCR is full of shit. They knew exactly what would happen if they abandoned, an affordable housing community that they run. They are the landlord. They are the ones that are responsible for the survival of this affordable housing community. It is in their charter. They have two obligations. One is to maintain that each of these communities has a balanced budget every 2 years. The second thing they're supposed to do, they're supposed to balance that with maintaining the affordability of these communities and the sustainability of these communities going forward. They've completely abdicated that responsibility. And when you abandon communities of color, when you abandon affordable housing communities that are gains of the civil rights movement, they know goddamn well what they were doing. And they knew that these needs weren't going to go away, that 60-year-old buildings need to be renovated, that when you have cement and bricks falling off buildings, that something has to be done. And these are needs that had to be funded. Yeah.
Jen, I want to also tell you that, I hear this in the laundry area all the time, that I'm there, and they were like, oh yeah, if they just let us buy these apartments. Buy the apartments? No, because if you buy this apartment here, you cannot afford to maintain it. You cannot afford to maintain it in the condition that it's in. It is over 60 years old. There's constant. Do you know how much it costs to do repairs? If you feel that you can't even manage this carrying charges, and you purchase this for even 100,000, they probably would want to sell it for 50,000 because they know the problem that you would take on your head if you ever purchased the apartment.
Yeah, you're going to be liable for everything. I mean, and this whole development, this whole movement, the Mitchell-Lamo movement, was an antidote to that, was a way to insulate working class living standards so that there was actually state regulation, and it was actually a democratic institution that actually had a stake in maintaining future affordability. But they've walked away from all of that. And so, yeah, Wells Fargo has blood on their hands. Wells Fargo is a racist predator bank and makes no bones about it. They've done it all over the country. They've been fined hundreds of millions of dollars in legal fines for, predatory lending and for discrimination. But yeah, they have blood on their hands, but also DHCR and New York State government, the Democratic Party, is responsible for allowing us to be in this situation in the first place. What did they think would happen? Did they think we weren't going to get this money from somewhere? We had to get the money from somewhere. So, when as much as I don't get along with Jay Williams, or we we're not going to agree on a lot of things. When he says that some bills need to be paid, yeah, that's right. Some of this work just absolutely has to be done, and they knew this. And they go through a state budget process where they allocate $1 billion for affordable housing, and somehow we're not on Santa's list. What do we have to do to get respect for this community? If you really believe in it, your budgets are a moral document. It shows what you believe in, and they just don't believe in it. And so that's the thing, is that, DHCR can say whatever they want. Oh, look at all this debt you have. Oh, no shit, Sherlock. No shit, we're in debt. We're in debt because of you. We're in debt because you abandoned us. How dare you come and tell us a 57% increase over 2 years is the only solution because you guys are in debt. Oh, and we didn't know nothing about it. Come on. They're playing a game. And the other thing, too, is that, like, anybody running for state office, they need to end DHCR. DHCR needs to go to the way of the dinosaurs. We need to have direct state funding. I don't want to have to apply for a grant. We're not begging for loans anymore. There needs to be direct state aid every year for all of these affordable housing communities. And I'm not into playing the Hunger Games with these people, where poor and working class communities get to knife each other for the crumbs from the governor's table. That's a bunch of bullshit, and it's got to change. And, like Zoran's victory and the fact that he will be the next mayor of New York City matters. It matters because of how he centered working class voices and how the people behind his campaign and his movement changed a whole narrative in the way in which people discuss politics, not only in New York City, but all over the world, in terms of the crisis of affordability, the laser focus on that. And we can do the same thing. They want to talk about what they want to talk about. We have to talk about what real life is like for working class people. And we need to center our voices. And that's part of what the Keep Rochdale Affordable podcast is an attempt to do. It's part of what the House Congress is an attempt to do. Give people their voice and allow that voice to be heard. And just giving up and throwing up our hands and saying they're all corrupt and there's nothing we can do is exactly what they want. They don't care if you hate them. They don't care if you're cynical. They don't care if you give up, so long as you don't believe in yourselves, so long as you don't believe in and won't fight for your own community. And that's the bottom line. Are we going to stand and fight for our community? Are we going to demand that you will live up to your promises? Or are we going to let them walk away from us and wash their hands with all of their promises and just do whatever's clever for them? And we just can't do that anymore. So anyway, so we're about an hour. So Adena, if you want to make a closing comment or two.
No, I just love what you say, that people don't really care about what you think about them, just as long as you hate yourself. And that is so deep. Like, you hating yourself is glory to someone as opposed to what you think about them. I think.
Yeah, if you don't have any confidence in yourself or your community, what difference does it make whether you like them or you love them? They don't care.
You would say, I want someone to love me, but you're saying just as long as you hate yourself, that's fine with me.
Well, the thing is that they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and it's like my bosses at the MTA. They know what they're doing. They know they got 173 transit workers dead during COVID for no other reason than they didn't want to have them wear masks, because they would have to acknowledge how bad the crisis was, right? But the fuckery they engage in, the things they do, they know people aren't going to like them. But they don't care so long as you don't believe in yourself, so long as you're not willing to do anything about it, so long as you're not willing to use your power to force them to.
That's deep, John.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's psychologically deep.
Philosophical, I know. It was
I'm traumatized.
Yeah. Well, in any case, so I just proved that not only Adena could be deep, I could be deep. See?
You can be what?
Not only Adena can be deep in philosophy, I can be deep. All right, so we're going to wrap this up, and we look forward to the comments. Please continue the comments on YouTube.
Thank you, Mr. Hercules.
And thank you, Mr. Herschel. Herschel.
Oh.
Herschel, she butchered your name. I'm sorry. Adena's bad with me.
Sorry, and you know what? I'm on TikTok Live, and I'm always butchering his name.
Okay.
I'm like, hey.
So please share it out on social media and continue the conversation. And we look forward to seeing you all at the House Congress meeting on Wednesday. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Have a great night.
You too. Bye bye. Chewy left us.
Oh, yeah. Chewy doesn't get his camera tonight.
Yeah. All right. Bye
Night.
bye.